Sup y'all, it's me, it's your boy Asmongold, and today I'm going to be giving you guys a full guide on how to play an Arms Warrior in patch 7.0. We're going to be taking a look at talents, stat priority, gear selection, artifact traits, single target rotations, AoE rotations, priority rotations, everything that I think that you need to know in order to play this class to its full potential. Now, as you guys can see right here, my item level is 870, and I do have a legendary. I'll show you guys that in just a moment here, and I don't have some pieces on because they're not quite itemized in the way that I need them to be. Itemization is very, very important for Arms Warrior. So I'm going to go through all of the pieces of gear that I have equipped on here. At the same time, I'm going to go ahead and explain the stat priority. Your main stat, your best stat, the stat to have is Mastery. You want to have Mastery on as many pieces of gear as possible. Mastery is actually even better point for point than Strength. Mastery, what I've read, is that 1 point of Mastery is about 1.3 points of Strength. 1.33 points of Strength, I think I saw that's what it was on Icy Veins. I don't really know specifically, so as a general rule, 150 Mastery is about 200 Strength. Now, below Mastery is Strength, and then below Strength is Versatility, and Haste and Versatility are very close to each other. What I would recommend for you guys to do is go with whatever has higher item level, regardless if it has Haste or Versatility. If it has the highest item level, and if it has more Mastery on it, go with that piece of gear, and let Haste and Versatility not really be too big of a deal, and Crit sucks. So for your Legendaries, you want to go ahead and try and get Eulalia's Stoneheart, and by try and get, I mean, you know. So I also can get the, or I also have the Archivon's Heavy Hand, and I got really, really lucky with that. The Stoneheart is, a lot of people say that's best. Archivon's Heavy Hand is probably second best. Weight of the Earth is third best, in my opinion. It applies another Colossus Smash, and Nagintis' Vertebrae is probably... It could be a little bit better than Weight of the Earth, depending on if you're doing AoE or not. And Manoroth's Bloodling Manacles, the other four are basically garbage. Now, Archivon's Heavy Hand is very good for throughput, and Eulalia's Stoneheart can be better depending on how lucky you get, because it basically gives you sudden death back in the same manner that we had it back in Warlords of Draenor. Basically, I mean, if you get either the Archivon's Heavy Hand or the Ring, you're going to be a really good spot. Now, for your artifact weapon, obviously you're going to start with Warbreaker, and then you go to Thoradin's Might. Obviously, it's the way you can go. Then you go to the Crushing, and then you go all the way up to your top gold trait, Exploit Weakness. Go ahead and get that. Then get Shattered Defenses. Then turn around. Don't actually go and get that Execute thing. I got to turn off my refrigerator, and go all the way down, get Tactical Advance. It sucks, but you gotta get it anyway. Precise Strikes, and then you get Corrupted Blood of Zakajaz. I think that's how to pronounce it. This is a very, very strong ability. Go down to Many Will Fall. This is very good, and then after that, you get this ability, Focus in Battle, that gives you 25% Colossus Smash damage. After that, you can go 3 of 3 Unending Rage. After this, I just wanted to get my third gold trait, honestly, so I went and I got Void Cleave, but basically everybody else recommends for you to go up and get Death Blow, because it increases your damage of Execute. Arms Warriors are very, very strong in single target damage. They're not very good at AoE. And after that, your other 3 traits that you can get are not very important, personally. You probably want to go with the Cleave one first, because it gives you a little bit more damage. But the void damage it's kind of, it helps a little bit, but it's obviously really not that big of a deal. Now, Arms Warriors, as I said, they're very, very easy to play. Also, I do want to emphasize that as well. Last time, I had the, I had my Super Nintendo controller, but they've actually minimized that, and I can probably play an Arms Warrior now with a garage door opener. So let's go ahead and take a look at our talents here. Now, we've got Dauntless. This is probably going to be your best choice for the build that I'm using. Overpower is going to be your best choice if you don't really use Focus Rage and you just want to do world content. It's very easy to play. Sweeping Strikes is good if maybe you're doing Mythic Plus, but personally I think the Dauntless is just the best choice out of the 3. Double Time is very good because it allows you to charge more often, and it gives you more mobility. Stormbolt is good obviously if you're doing PvP, high level arena or something like that, and people aren't grouped up all the time. And Shockwave is very good for not only Mythic Plus, but it's also good for PvP, and basically any other content that you need to stun things on a pretty regular basis. Fervor in Battle is decent whenever you're doing solo content, but but personally I don't really think it's very useful. Rend is Rend is really good if you're a moron, and also it's only really useful if you're fighting a stealth class like a rogue. Other than that, I would not recommend ever using Rend. Avatar is the best choice out of the 45 talents in my opinion with the build that I'm going. Defensive stance is very good for different fights where you take a ton of damage, but personally it makes you take less or do less damage. So it really kind of depends on what you're trying to do. Maybe you need to use that for like a Mythic Plus push or something like that. Now, Second Wind is also very useful whenever you're doing world content. I choose to go with Bounding Stride so I can jump out and charge back in for more rage if I need to. Now, your 75 talents are also pretty easy to choose. In for the Kill is, in my opinion, not very good unless you're doing a fight. And personally, like, even if you're doing a fight that starts at 20%, like the Eye of Ashara, the Wrath of Ashara boss, I still don't think it's useful. Mortal Combo is more of a PvP ability, and Focus Rage is going to be your best ability that you can go for. This is what all the highest parses are. Go with Titanic Might if you're a Titanic retard. You can go with Trauma, too, if you probably got some brain trauma. Personally, I don't think either one of them are very good at all. Your 90 talent that you want to go with is obviously going to be Deadly Calm because it allows you to basically spam all of your abilities during Battle Cry, and with the Corrupted Blood of Zakajaz combined with that, it makes it do a ton of damage. Anger Management is also very important, so you can get more Battle Cries that are Deadly Calm. Everything synergizes very well together to do very, very strong single target damage. Opportunity Strikes is not worth it, and neither is Ravager in my opinion. There are some people who choose to go different talents, but this is where I've seen has yielded the strongest DPS outside of using Double Time instead of Shockwave. Now, at this point, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the abilities that I have. I have Mortal Strike. Obviously, you want to use Mortal Strike on cooldown, especially if you have the gloves. Hamstring, if you really want to try hard, you can use Hamstring during Battle Cry because it does a little bit extra damage. Warbreaker is basically like an extra Colossus Smash that you can use in case you get unlucky. Slam is what you use whenever you don't have anything else. You have over about 40 or 50 range. Blade Storm is what is AoE. It's not really that good though, and Colossus Smash is kind of the bread and butter of the spec. Basically what you want to do is you want to proc as many Tactician procs as possible, and then basically use one Colossus Smash and then a Mortal Strike, and then use Focus Rage in between the two and alternate between those two abilities. As I said, guys, you could play the spec with a Garage Door Opener. So it's really not that hard to do. You have other abilities. Cleave helps you with AoE damage. Don't want people with hits with Cleave, and if you have the Void thing, the gold trait, obviously Cleave is going to do even more damage, and if you have more than 3 targets, I would say do Cleave. But I'll go ahead and explain each different type of like situation in just a moment. So I charge in right here. I'm going to show you guys just basic rotation. I charge in, I get 2 stacks of Focus Rage, I pop all my cooldowns, I hit a Colossus Smash, and then I do a Mortal Strike. And then whenever Battle Cry is up, I'm hitting every single button as much as I can. Even Hamstring sometimes, because it just gives me just that little bit more DPS, and there's literally no reason not to. So you want to do that as much as you can. After Battle Cry, you want to be spending as much rage as possible. Try to get as many Focus Rage stacks as possible before you do Mortal Strike. But I've heard a lot of different opinions on this. Now, obviously, because I have the gloves, I never wait. I use Mortal Strike as soon as it goes, as soon as it's available, unless a Colossus Smash is available. And the reason you want to use Mortal Strike right after Colossus Smash is your first gold trait that you get is going to increase the critical strike chance of Mortal Strike after you use Colossus Smash of your Mortal Strike or your Execute by 30%. So it's very, very useful and very, very good to use Mortal Strike right after Colossus Smash, and then rotate to be using Focused Rage, and then also use Slam whenever you're pretty high on rage as well in order to burn down a little bit extra rage. Now, whenever you don't have any Tactician procs, this spec can be extremely irritating. Like right now, you guys can see that. And I should have used Mortal Strike right there. I was kind of just like, it's like kind of like whenever I kind of get a little triggered, guys. I'll be real. I get a little triggered whenever I don't have a proc, okay? And so whenever that happens, I kind of just like hit the button over and over, and I just kind of act stupidly about it. Another thing, a little mistake that I made right there, is you almost never want to use Battle Cry whenever you don't have Colossus Smash up, because the more damage you do during Battle Cry, the more damage the Corrupted Blood of Zakajaz does, which is the dot that you get out of your second gold trait. So you want to make sure that you optimize your Battle Cry damage as much as possible. Also, you don't want to use Avatar if you're not going to be able to use Battle Cry within the Avatar duration. So if you have Avatar up, save Avatar until your next Battle Cry is up, or if it's not going to be up at that exact time, but you know the battle cry is going to be up in like 5 seconds. Basically, if battle cry will be up within the next 15 seconds, you want to use it then, and if it's not, you want to save it for the next battle cry. But you never want to prolong your battle cries, only prolong your what do you call it? Your avatars, but usually you want to do that. You do a battle cry about every like 30 seconds or so, give or take, depending on how much rage you're getting, critical strikes, and everything like that. Now, I'm also doing something that's kind of a noob move, and I did this, and I probably need to stop doing this at this point, and it's something that I could maybe recommend to you guys if you're very new to the spec and you want to kind of first get your understanding of it, and to where you don't have to worry about like as few buttons as possible, you know, full garage door opener spec, is you can bind Focused Rage to Mortal Strike and to Colossus Smash. You can do that if you're a beginner. Obviously, you're going to be wasting some rage, but at the same time, that rage could be potentially going towards more tactician procs. Personally, I don't really think it's a very, very good idea, and I am going to rework my keybinds to where I actually have a way to not do that if I do have 3 stacks already. But as a new player, I would say maybe you might want to do that depending on if you keep forgetting to use it or something like that. It really all depends on what you really feel comfortable with. And so if you can remember to keep 3 stacks up and just hit it on cooldown as much as you can, then it's no real problem. As you guys saw right there, I did make one more mistake because I used Battle Cry before Avatar was up. I thought it was going to be up, but obviously, as you guys can see, it was not. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple of different situations, some AoE situations with cooldowns up, AoE situations without cooldowns up, and what to do in between cooldowns, in AoE situations and trash situations, and we're also going to look at single target situations. So as you can see here, your big AoE damage is you want to put to the Warbreaker, which puts Colossus Smash on everything, pop Avatar, pop Battle Cry, and then pop Blade Storm, and just go apeshit ninja fuck. Okay, like look how much damage I did, and it's like if there was 100 in there, you'd probably still even do more. That as a warrior, this is like your main damage. Like you have, as an arms warrior, you have insane burst AoE damage. And by burst, I mean within 5 to 10 seconds, your damage is incredible. Now, again, I'm going to show you guys with 3 targets. Now, if there are, I would say, really, I only did this because the boss was going to be in the next pull. But if you're fighting 3 targets or less, I would say just focus your single target rotation on one target. Hopefully, like the priority target with the most health. And so, as you guys can see, there's a champion that has, I think, a little bit more health than the archers. And so I would focus the champion while everybody else AoE down the archers so I could maximize my damage. Arms warriors have strong single target damage, so you want to focus on using that to your advantage as much as possible. Really, arms warrior AoE, sustained AoE, is very, very mediocre. Honestly, you know, Fury warriors are much better. Basically, any class is much better. But the huge, big burst AoEs, you guys can see right there, I did the same thing all over again, just doing insane damage. It's amazing, it's awesome, it's super fun. And after that, even though there are that many targets here, I still focused priority damage on the Soul Keeper here because I thought that it was more important that we killed that. And I knew that everybody else in the group was better at doing AoE, and so I let them do what they're best at, and then I do what I'm best at. So that way everybody's playing and performing at their maximum potential. You never really want to try and, it's like you never want to bust your ass to get second place in something that you're not very good at. Focus and build on your strengths. That's what I would say is one of the most important things going into this and playing an arms warrior, is focus on your strengths, and your strength is doing strong burst single target damage. And also, well, strong single target damage sustained, and also burst AoE like that. Now, as a single target fight, you obviously want to make sure that as soon as you go in there, pop every single cooldown, get 2 stacks of Focus Rage, in my opinion. That'll allow you to probably get a little bit more damage out of your Mortal Strikes, and then pop Battle Cry, and just pretty much do the same rotation I was showing you guys on the target dummy. Now, if you know that your boss is going to hit 20% and you won't be able to get another Battle Cry, I would recommend for you to save your Battle Cry for whenever the boss hits 20%. Now, once the boss hits 20% and you have Battle Cry up, obviously you want to spam Focus Rage, Execute, and make sure that you do have Colossus Smash up at the same time too. And the reason that you're doing all of that is because whenever you Battle Cry, because you have Deadly Calm, Battle Cry costs no rage. Or sorry, Execute costs no rage, and so you're able to pretty much burn down as much rage as you can, but you're obviously not burning down any rage. At 20%, you basically replace Slam with Execute, but you only really want to do that if you are very, very comfortable with what you're doing, and also you know exactly how to manage your rage, because you never want to rage starve yourself. It's very, very easy for you to be doing a lot of damage as an Arms Warrior, and then just by bad play and just bad rage management, and you guys don't see it because I didn't put the clips in here, but I do that all the time. Many people do that all the time. So I would recommend very, very strongly, make sure that you only do execute instead of slam during execute phase if you have over, I would say, 80 rage. Other than that, just be pretty much doing focused rage, and maybe burn down a few executes below that if you do still need to proc a tactician or something like that. The more rage you spend and the more times you hit your keys, and also not procking tactician is procced by other things, but basically the more rage you spend, the faster you get battle cry. The faster you get a battle cry, the more you have free and infinite rage. So as you guys can see, Arms Warriors do take a pretty good amount of understanding and coordination and gameplay, even though it's a very, very easy spec. You just look at it, it's like 3 or 4 buttons, right? But hitting those 3 or 4 buttons in the right way at the right times can be complicated, and so hopefully in this guide I've given you guys kind of the framework to be able to make the decisions that I think that you need to. And guys, honestly, it just takes a lot of practice. I first played my Arms Warrior, I was doing like 270k DPS. It was terrible. I was doing absolutely terrible. And the more that I played, the more that I learned, the more that I practiced my rotation, and the better I got, the better I was able to play my class. And so Arms Warriors are one of those classes where you can sit at the target dummy and practice what you're doing and how to do it in the best way possible. I got sat on my raid for basically being dog shit, and for the next hour I sat there at the target dummy and I got a lot better playing my class. And so if you guys are in that same situation, that's what I would recommend for you to do too. Now, if there's anything that I left out or anything besides this that I probably didn't mention or whatever, or you would like to add, go ahead and leave that in the comments, and hopefully this video helped you. Learning how to play this class definitely helped me. It's very, very strong, one of the best single target classes in the game, so hopefully this video will have helped you use it to as close to as possible of its max potential. So thank you guys very much for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe.